The weight you feel upon your shoulders did not arrive all at once. It came quietly, almost politely, adding itself day by day, worry by worry, until you scarcely noticed when standing upright became difficult. At first it was a thought that lingered longer than it should have, then a fear disguised as responsibility, then a duty you never agreed to but felt too decent to refuse. You told yourself that strong people carry such things, that faith means endurance, that love is proven by how much one can bear without complaint. And so you bent slightly at first, then more deeply, until even your prayers began to sound tired, as though they too were sighing under the load. Yet it is a curious mistake of the human heart to believe that what feels heavy must therefore be holy. We assume that if something exhausts us, it must be required of us. But there are burdens that shape the soul, and there are burdens that slowly crush it, and wisdom lies not in carrying everything, but in knowing which weight was never meant for your back. The truth is that you were not designed to be the final answer to every problem that comes near you, nor the sole support of every fragile thing that leans your way. You were never meant to be the foundation of the universe, though you have been trying very hard to act as if you were. There is a strange comfort we take in stress, though we would never admit it aloud. Stress gives us the illusion of control. As long as we are worrying, planning, replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, we feel useful, involved, necessary. Letting go feels irresponsible, almost sinful, as if peace were a form of laziness and rest a betrayal of duty. But peace, real peace, is not the absence of care, it is the presence of trust. And trust is not a shallow optimism that pretends everything is fine, but a deep decision that even if everything is not fine, you are not alone in carrying it. Consider how often you have taken tomorrow's troubles and dragged them into today, forcing your present moment to answer questions that belong to a future you have not yet reached. You rehearse conversations that may never happen, grieve losses that have not yet occurred, and punish yourself for mistakes that grace has already forgiven. In doing so, you multiply your suffering, not because life demanded it, but because fear suggested it was wise. Yet fear is a poor counselor. It speaks loudly, urgently, and with great confidence, but it has no true authority over the soul. There is another voice, quieter, steadier, and far less dramatic. It does not shout or threaten, it invites. It does not demand that you hold everything together, it asks you to loosen your grip. This voice understands the shape of your soul better than you do, for it was present before your first breath and will remain when your last worry has faded into silence. It knows which weights have bowed your spirit and which fears have kept you awake long after the night had earned its rest. And it is this voice that now speaks to the very center of your weariness, saying, in effect, that you may finally put some of these things down. Putting things down, however, is far more difficult than picking them up. Anyone can take on a burden in a moment of courage or desperation. Letting go requires humility, and humility is not the belief that you are weak, but the acceptance that you are not infinite. It means admitting that your strength has limits, and that those limits were designed on purpose. You were never meant to solve every mystery, heal every wound, or anticipate every outcome. Some things must remain unfinished in your hands, so that you may discover whose hands they truly belong to. Peace does not arrive like a sudden miracle that erases all difficulty in an instant. More often, it comes like dawn, quietly replacing the darkness without asking for applause. You may not notice it at first. It may feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, as though you have forgotten something important. You may reach for your stress out of habit, the way one reaches for a coat that is no longer needed. But gradually, as you allow yourself to breathe without bracing for disaster, you will realize that the world has not collapsed simply because you stopped holding it up. There is a freedom that comes when you accept that some problems are not yours to solve, some opinions are not yours to change, and some outcomes are not yours to control. This freedom does not make you careless, it makes you sane. It allows you to love without trying to possess, to serve without trying to save, and to hope without demanding guarantees. It teaches you that faith is not proven by anxiety, and devotion is not measured by exhaustion. Think of how much energy you have spent resisting the very rest you need. You have argued with peace, negotiated with it, postponed it for a more convenient time, as if calm were a luxury reserved for a future version of yourself who has finally earned it. But peace is not a reward for perfect behavior. It is a gift for honest surrender. It does not require that your life be in order, only that your heart be open. When the weight begins to lift, you may feel exposed, as though without your stress you are somehow unprepared for life. Stress has been your armor, your proof that you care deeply and take things seriously. Without it, you fear you might become careless or detached. Yet what you discover instead is that peace sharpens rather than dulls your attention. It allows you to see clearly, to respond wisely, and to act from love rather than panic. You become less reactive and more responsive, less driven by fear and more guided by trust. You are not being asked to deny reality or ignore responsibility. You are being invited to exchange a crushing load for a shared one. There is a profound difference between carrying something alone and carrying it with help, even if the object itself remains the same. When you stop insisting on being the sole guardian of every outcome, you make room for grace to operate in ways you could never orchestrate. Notice how your body has been trying to tell you this truth for some time. The tight shoulders, the shallow breaths, the constant fatigue that sleep alone cannot cure. These are not signs of moral failure. They are signals of a soul that has been overworked. You have been living as though urgency were a virtue and rest a weakness. But rest is not retreat, it is repair. It is the quiet confidence that the world continues to turn even when you pause. Peace replacing stress does not mean that challenges vanish, but it does mean that they lose their power to define you. You become more than your worries, more than your circumstances, more than your fears about what might happen if things do not go according to plan. You begin to live from a deeper center, one that is not easily shaken by uncertainty, because it is anchored in things steadier than circumstance. There is also a gentle grief that may surface as the weight lifts, a sadness for the years you spent believing you had to carry everything alone. Allow that grief its moment. It is part of the healing. But do not dwell there too long, for regret is only useful when it teaches us how to live differently now. What matters is not how long you struggled, but that you are finally learning how to rest. You will still care, you will still work, love, plan, and dream, but there will be a difference in how you do these things. They will no longer feel like desperate attempts to secure your worth or prevent disaster. Instead, they will flow from a place of trust, where effort is offered freely, rather than demanded by fear. You will discover that you can be diligent without being frantic, committed without being consumed. And as this peace grows, quietly but steadily, you may notice that others feel lighter in your presence. Stress is contagious, but so is calm. When you no longer carry the world on your shoulders, you stop asking others to do the same. You give them permission, without saying a word, to breathe more deeply, to trust more fully, to lay down some of their own unnecessary burdens. This is not the peace of indifference, nor the peace of escape. It is the peace of alignment, of finally standing in the place you were meant to stand, doing the work that is truly yours, and leaving the rest where it belongs. It is the peace that understands that love does not require control, and faith does not require constant anxiety. So if today you feel the weight beginning to shift, do not resist it. Do not rush to replace it with a new worry, a new obligation, a new fear disguised as responsibility. Let the unfamiliar lightness teach you something. Let it show you that you were never abandoned in your struggle, only invited again and again to trust more deeply than you thought possible. And as you learn to walk without that crushing load, you may find that the path ahead, though still uncertain, no longer feels quite so impossible, for you are discovering, perhaps for the first time in a long while, what it means to move forward not driven by fear of what might go wrong, but guided by a growing assurance that even now, even here, you are being carried in ways you cannot fully see, and that the peace beginning to settle within you is not fragile or temporary. but the first quiet sign of a deeper restoration still unfolding, shaping how you will face the days ahead, the choices before you, and the moments when the old habits of worry try to return, reminding you that you are no longer meant to live as though every outcome depends entirely on your strength alone, because something far greater than your anxiety is already at work, steadily, patiently, and with a care that does not grow weary even when you do, inviting you to continue learning how to rest in that truth as you move forward into what comes next, carrying less fear, less strain, and a growing awareness that the shoulders you once believed had to bear everything are finally being freed, step by step, breath by breath, as you begin to trust this peace enough to let it lead you further than stress ever could. And when you notice that peace leading you, you may be surprised by how unfamiliar its pace feels. Stress trained you to hurry, to measure your worth by speed and output, to believe that if you were not constantly moving, something terrible would catch up with you. Peace, however, does not rush. It walks with intention, not because it is unaware of danger, but because it knows panic never prevented it. At first, you may try to drag peace along behind you, insisting it keep up with your old habits of urgency. But peace resists being used as a tool. It must be trusted as a guide. There will be moments when the old weight tries to return, slipping back onto your shoulders as subtly as it once arrived. A sudden problem, an unexpected delay, a sharp word spoken without thought, and your body will remember its former posture, tightening, bracing, preparing for impact. This is not failure, it is memory. Your soul is learning a new way to stand, and learning always includes repetition. Each time you notice the tension and choose, even briefly, to release it, you weaken the grip of fear and strengthen the habit of trust. You may also discover that some of your stress was not caused by circumstances at all, but by the stories you told yourself about them. You assumed outcomes before they occurred, assigned meanings without evidence, and judged yourself harshly for things that were never fully in your control. Peace invites you to question these stories, not with cynicism, but with honesty. It asks whether the burden you are carrying is real or imagined, necessary or inherited, chosen or simply accepted without thought. There is a quiet courage in refusing to live under constant pressure. The world may applaud busyness and mistake exhaustion for importance, but there is nothing noble about being perpetually overwhelmed. You do not honor life by being crushed beneath it. You honor it by engaging fully while remaining grounded, by giving your best without sacrificing your soul. Peace does not diminish your impact, it purifies it. As the weight lifts, you may notice how much of your identity was tied to being the one who holds everything together. You were the dependable one, the strong one, the one who never fell apart. Letting go of that role can feel like losing a part of yourself. But what you are losing is not your strength. It is the false belief that strength means never needing support. True strength is the ability to receive help without shame, to admit limitation without fear of rejection. In this lighter space, your prayers may change. They may become less frantic and more honest, less about controlling outcomes and more about aligning your heart. You may find yourself speaking fewer words, not because you care less, but because you trust more. Silence, once uncomfortable, may begin to feel like companionship rather than emptiness. In that silence, you may sense a presence that does not demand performance, only openness. You will still face uncertainty. Peace does not provide a detailed map of the future, it provides assurance for the next step. Stress demanded certainty before movement. Peace asks for movement with trust. This is not recklessness. It is a recognition that waiting until all questions are answered often means never moving at all. Peace teaches you to walk by wisdom rather than fear, to act with humility rather than desperation. Notice, too, how your relationships begin to shift as the weight leaves your shoulders. When you are no longer consumed by anxiety, you listen more deeply. You respond rather than react. You stop needing others to behave perfectly in order for you to feel secure. Love becomes less conditional, less tangled in expectation. You allow people to be human without feeling personally threatened by their flaws. There may be resistance from those who benefited, consciously or not, from your constant stress. When you stop over-functioning, others are invited to step into responsibility themselves. This can feel uncomfortable for everyone involved. You may be tempted to take the weight back simply to restore familiar dynamics, but peace requires patience, both with yourself and with others, as new patterns take shape. You will also learn that peace does not mean you never feel sadness, anger, or concern. It means these emotions no longer rule you. They become signals rather than masters, information rather than identity. You allow yourself to feel without being overwhelmed, to grieve without despair, to care without collapsing. This emotional freedom is not numbness, it is balance. There is a profound difference between carrying concern and carrying dread. Concern motivates wise action, dread paralyzes. Peace does not remove concern, it removes dread. It clears the fog so you can see what actually needs your attention and what can safely be left alone. In this clarity, many things that once seemed urgent reveal themselves as merely loud. You may begin to notice small joys that stress once crowded out. A quiet morning, a shared laugh, the simple satisfaction of a task done without frenzy. These moments were always available to you, but stress convinced you they were distractions rather than nourishment. Peace restores your ability to receive them without guilt. As you continue to walk in this lighter way, you may face moments of doubt, wondering whether this calm can truly last. The habit of stress taught you to expect disaster, to brace for disappointment even in times of ease. Peace responds to this doubt not with argument, but with consistency. It shows up again and again, steady and reliable, teaching you through experience rather than persuasion. You will learn that peace is not fragile. It does not shatter at the first sign of trouble. It bends, adjusts, and holds, not because circumstances are easy, but because its foundation is deeper than circumstance. This depth allows you to remain grounded even when answers are delayed and outcomes remain uncertain. There is also a subtle shift in how you view time. Stress made time an enemy, something always slipping away, never enough. Peace reframes time as a gift, sufficient for what is required of you in this moment. You stop racing the clock. Start inhabiting the present. This presence does not make you passive, it makes you effective. You may find yourself making different choices, not because you are trying to be spiritual or disciplined, but because your desires are changing. When you are no longer driven by fear, many pursuits lose their urgency. You begin to choose what brings life rather than what merely numbs anxiety. This is not withdrawal from the world, but engagement on healthier terms. At times, the quiet of peace may feel unsettling, especially if you're accustomed to chaos. You may mistake calm for emptiness, stillness for stagnation. But if you sit with it long enough, you will sense that this quiet is not absence but fullness. It is space where wisdom can surface, where creativity can breathe, where truth can be heard without being shouted. You will also become more compassionate toward yourself. Stress was merciless, keeping score, replaying failures, demanding perfection. Peace is honest but kind. It acknowledges mistakes without defining you by them. It allows growth without humiliation. In this compassion, you begin to heal not only from current pressures, but from old wounds that stress kept buried but never resolved. As you live this way, you may notice that your faith, once strained by constant effort, begins to feel more natural. It is no longer something you perform, but something you inhabit. Trust becomes less of a concept and more of a posture, a quiet leaning rather than a rigid stance. You discover that belief is not maintained by tension, but by relationship. There will be days when peace feels distant, when the noise of life grows loud again. On those days, remember that peace is not something you must recreate from scratch. It is something you return to. Like a home you momentarily stepped away from, it remains, unchanged by your absence, ready to receive you again. You are learning, slowly and imperfectly, how to live without the constant weight you once assumed was permanent. Each small release, each moment of trust, each decision to rest rather than resist is reshaping you. This transformation is not dramatic, but it is deep. It works quietly, beneath the surface, altering how you respond to pressure, how you measure success, how you understand strength. And as this process continues, you may realize that peace was never meant to be an occasional visitor in your life. It was meant to be your dwelling place. Stress was the intruder, loud and demanding, convincing you it belonged. Peace has been waiting patiently, never forcing its way in, always respecting your freedom to choose. So you continue step by step, learning to recognize when you are picking up weights that are not yours, learning to set them down without apology. You learn to trust that what truly matters will not be lost simply because you are no longer frantic. You learn that your value does not increase with your anxiety, nor decrease with your rest. And as you move forward lighter than before, you begin to sense that this peace is not merely helping you cope with life, but teaching you how to live it, shaping your days not around fear of what might go wrong, but around confidence that even when things do not unfold as planned, you are held by something steadier than circumstance, something that does not ask you to carry the impossible, but invites you to walk freely, attentively, and with a growing trust that the weight once pressing so heavily upon your shoulders is continuing to lift, gradually and surely, making room for a way of being that feels truer, gentler, and more whole than the life you once tried to sustain by sheer effort alone. And in this gentler way of living, you begin to notice how often fear once disguised itself as wisdom. It rended you constantly, not because danger was always near, but because it wished to remain necessary. Fear thrives on repetition. It repeats the same questions, the same doubts, the same imagined failures, until they feel inevitable. Peace interrupts this cycle not by silencing fear completely, but by refusing to obey it. It listens, considers, and then chooses a different response, one rooted not in alarm but in discernment. There is a subtle dignity that returns to you when you stop being driven by panic. You begin to stand more upright, not because the problems have vanished, but because they no longer define the height of your soul. You discover that calm is not weakness, but clarity. In calmness, you see more accurately, choose more wisely, and act more effectively. The energy once wasted on worry becomes available for purpose. You may recall moments in your past when peace briefly visited you, perhaps in childhood, perhaps in a rare pause between crises. Those moments felt fragile, as though they could not last. You assumed adulthood required their sacrifice, but peace was not lost, it was postponed. It waited for you to become tired enough of carrying everything to consider another way. As you practice this new posture of trust, you may find that your thoughts grow quieter, not empty, but ordered. The constant mental chatter that once accompanied every decision begins to fade. You still think, still plan, still anticipate, but without the edge of desperation. Your mind becomes a place of reflection rather than a battlefield. This quiet order extends into your actions. You stop saying yes out of fear of disappointing others, and start saying yes from genuine willingness. You say no without guilt, understanding that limits are not rejections, but boundaries that protect what truly matters. In honoring your limits, you discover that you are not less loving, but or honest. There is also a newfound patience with processes that cannot be rushed. Stress demanded immediate results. Peace allows for growth. You begin to understand that some answers arrive only with time, and forcing them early often distorts them. Waiting, once unbearable, becomes tolerable, even meaningful. It becomes a space where trust deepens. You may notice that your body responds to this shift before your mind fully accepts it. Your breathing slows, your shoulders drop, sleep comes more easily. These changes are not trivial. They are signals that your entire being is adjusting to a healthier rhythm. You are relearning how to live in a body that is not constantly preparing for threat. As peace settles in, it also exposes areas where you once relied on stress for motivation. You may fear becoming complacent, losing your drive. But peace does not eliminate passion, it refines it. It removes the frantic edge, leaving behind a steadier, more sustainable energy. You work not to prove your worth, but to express it. There is a gentleness in this way of being that extends to how you view others. You stop expecting perfection, both from yourself and from those around you. You recognize that everyone is carrying something unseen, and this awareness softens your judgments. Compassion becomes less of an effort and more of a natural response. You may also find that your sense of gratitude deepens. Stress focused your attention on what was lacking, what was threatened, what might be lost. Peace opens your eyes to what is present, what is sufficient, what is quietly sustaining you. Gratitude in this context is not denial of hardship, but recognition of grace within it. There will still be moments when life demands much of you, when responsibility feels heavy again. But now you meet these moments differently. Instead of bracing for collapse, you lean into support. Instead of assuming you must endure alone, you allow yourself to be helped. This is not surrender to helplessness, but alignment with reality. You begin to see that peace does not isolate you from struggle. It integrates struggle into a larger story. Challenges become chapters rather than conclusions. They shape you without defining you. You move through them with resilience rather than resistance. In this ongoing transformation, you may notice a shift in how you speak, both to others and to yourself. Your words grow less sharp, less urgent. You stop narrating your life as a series of crises and begin to describe it as a journey. This change in language reflects a deeper change in belief. There is also a growing trust in the unseen work happening beyond your awareness. Stress demanded visible progress at all times. Peace allows for hidden growth. You accept that some of the most important changes occur quietly, beneath the surface, long before they become apparent. This acceptance frees you from constant self-evaluation. As you continue, you may encounter moments of temptation to return to your old ways, especially when peace does not produce immediate results. Stress offered quick though costly certainty. Peace offers slower but deeper transformation. Choosing peace requires patience, especially when others seem to thrive on urgency. You may notice that your tolerance for unnecessary noise diminishes. Not just literal noise, but emotional and mental clutter. You become more selective about what you consume, what you engage with, what you allow to influence your inner world. This selectivity is not avoidance, but stewardship. There is a quiet joy that begins to surface, not the exuberant excitement of achievement, but a steady contentment rooted in belonging. You feel more at home in your own life, less like a guest waiting for things to fall apart. This joy does not depend on constant success. It coexists with imperfection. You may reflect on how often you once equated peace with passivity, assuming that to be calm meant to stop caring. But now you see that peace actually requires courage. It takes courage to trust when outcomes are uncertain, to rest when the world urges you to hurry, to believe you are held when you cannot see how. As this courage grows, you find yourself more willing to face difficult truths. Stress avoided discomfort by staying busy. Peace creates space for honesty. You confront unresolved issues not with dread, but with a grounded confidence that facing them will not destroy you. This honesty brings further freedom. You also begin to appreciate the rhythm of effort and rest. Stress erased this rhythm, turning life into a continuous strain. Peace restores balance. You work fully, then rest fully, without guilt in either. This rhythm sustains you in ways constant exertion never could. In moments of stillness, you may sense a deeper connection to something beyond yourself, a presence that does not demand explanation. This sense is not always dramatic or emotional. Often it is quiet, almost ordinary. But its steadiness reassures you that you are not navigating life alone. As days pass, this peace becomes less of an experience and more of a posture. You do not have to think about it constantly. It simply informs how you respond. It becomes the background against which life unfolds, steady and reliable, even when the foreground is chaotic. You may notice that when stress does arise, it no longer feels all-consuming. It comes, it speaks, but it does not stay in control. You acknowledge it, learn from it, and then allow it to pass. This relationship with stress is healthier, more balanced. There is also a growing sense of trust in your own capacity to adapt. Stress convinced you that any deviation from plan would be catastrophic. Peace teaches you that you are more resilient than you realized. You can adjust, learn, and continue, even when things change unexpectedly. You begin to understand that peace is not something you achieve once and then possess forever. It is something you practice, return to, and deepen over time. Each choice to release unnecessary burden strengthens this practice, making peace more familiar and accessible. And as this familiarity grows, you start to recognize the early signs of overload before they become overwhelming. You notice when your thoughts begin to race, when your body tenses, when your patience thins. Instead of pushing through, you pause. This pause is not procrastination, it is wisdom. You may also find that your sense of purpose clarifies. Stress blurred purpose with pressure. Peace reveals what truly matters, not through urgency, but through alignment. You invest your energy where it brings life, rather than scattering it in reaction to every demand. As you continue forward, you carry less fear into each day. You wake not immediately bracing for problems, but open to possibilities. Even when challenges arise, they do not overshadow the entire day. You meet them as parts of life, not its definition. And in this ongoing journey, you may come to realize that the peace replacing your stress was never meant to be temporary relief. It is shaping you into someone who can live with open hands, rather than clenched fists, someone who can engage deeply without being consumed, someone who can walk through uncertainty without losing balance, someone who is learning slowly and faithfully that the weight once carried alone is continuing to be lifted, not all at once, but steadily, as trust grows and fear loosens its grip, allowing you to move forward with a heart that is becoming increasingly free, attentive, and anchored in a calm that does not depend on perfect conditions, but endures even as life continues to unfold. And so, as the weight lifts from your shoulders and the burden you once carried so heavily begins to ease, remember this: peace is not a fleeting moment or a distant dream. It is the life-giving reality that steps in when you finally trust that you were never meant to bear everything alone. Stress may have shaped your days, but it does not define you. The calm that replaces it is steady, patient, and transformative, teaching you to walk with intention, to love without fear, and to live without the constant pull of anxiety. Embrace this peace, let it guide your steps, and allow it to shape the way you see yourself, others, and the world around you. For when you release the weight and surrender what was never yours to carry, you make room for grace, clarity, and a freedom that empowers you to face life with courage, hope, and unshakable trust. This is the gift of letting go, the promise that even amidst uncertainty, your soul can rest, and your heart can finally know the quiet, enduring joy that comes when peace replaces stress.